Tonight, we're going to take you on a musical trip around the world. But before we do that, however, we need to start right here at home. As many of you know, earlier this year, we lost one of our Great Path Music Department alumni. Tyler Smith was a fixture in the music room, and especially in jazz band. We can't let this year go by without dedicating a song to him, and we've decided to go with his all-time favorite. If you know this one, feel free to join in. Tyler, this one is for you.
Pass the beans, like we used to say. Pass the beans, pass the beans, pass the beans, like we used to say. Come on, pass the beans, pass the beans, pass the beans, like we used to say. Come on, pass the beans, pass the beans, pass the beans, like we used to say.
Thank you. We'll be staying up in North America for now. Picture yourself in a Smoky Jazz Club in 1961. Nat Adderley is one of the hottest trumpet players in the world, and you're going to see him live at the Blue Note with Bobby Timmons, Sam Jones, and Louis Hayes. They just released one of the greatest jazz albums of all time last year, and they're about to play a little track they like to call Work Song. only. Okay. We're gonna close the jazz band only portion of the concert with the main theme from Super Mario Bros. 64. Here's Bob-omb Battlefield.
Jazz Band, we've looked at a number of different styles this year, from swing to funk and everything in between. And now we're going to move down to South America, specifically Brazil, the birthplace of samba. This year, we were fortunate to have a student teacher working with us alongside Mr. Wolf. Mr. Faria is actually Brazilian himself and worked with us on sounding as authentic as possible. To that end, this tune is going to be more than just the jazz band. We're going to invite beginner drumline up here with us to play some of the Latin percussion that Brazilian music is so famous for. So close your eyes and relax and imagine that you're in Rio, surrounded by the sights and excitement of Carnival. Here's Samba de Rota by Dean Sorensen.
Okay, this time I've got it. The jazz band portion of the concert is over now, but don't worry, I'm still here because I'm in this group too. Up next is the beginner drum line. We've spent the majority of the year playing on the marching drums. While we're going to play some other instruments tonight too, we'll still be with the drums for one more song. This next tune is from an awesome website called freedrumlinemusic.com. We like it because the music's great. Mr. Wolf likes it because it's, well, free. Here's Time Travel by Cassidy Byers.
One of the things Mr. Free has spent a lot of time working on with us was reading music. A lot of us had never actually read music before being in this group, so it was pretty difficult. The next tune is being played by a small ensemble because Mr. Wolf gave them the challenge to use those new music reading skills to teach themselves the piece. These students were able to put this together without having Mr. Wolf teach it to them because they were able to read the music on their own. Here's our select ensemble playing Rhythm Rocket by John Wilmer.
since we joined this group, we know what we want to do. Play some buckets. So that's right. I mean, it's time for some buckets. It's going to take us a minute or two to get set up, so please bear with us for a moment, and we'll bring you bucket toss.
All right, so, class, are you ready to take your SATs? Don't they sound excited? Well, this section is going to be 938 questions. You have 5 minutes. Are you ready? Does everybody have their number 2 pencils ready? All right, make sure you stay nice and quiet, and ready, go.
Now we have a ton of equipment to move for the second half, so we're going to take a short intermission. Be sure to visit the boosters out front for some awesome food. We'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
They also have some fantastic raffles going on out there as well.
Hello, and welcome back. For the vocal ensemble portion of the concert today, we are going to follow the jazz band in our musical journey around the world. We will start in Scotland, 1745. After the failed uprising at Carlisle, 2 of Bonnie Princess Charlie's men have been captured. One is to be executed, the other set free. According to Celtic tradition, the condemned man's spirit be escorted home by ferries via the Low Road. His spirit will reach his homeland before his comrade, but he will never see his true love again. Here's his last message for his friend to bring home. United States, where in the late 1800s, men would gather at local barbershops to hang out, share stories, and get a shave and a haircut. Often, one man would begin singing a popular song of the day, like Sweet Adeline or Heart of My Heart. As he sang the melody, other men would join in, improvising complex-sounding harmonies. They were not classically trained, they were not composers. They were just discovering new and amazing chords. That tradition of barbershop music continues to this day, as barbershop choruses and quartets hold competitions all across the globe, keeping this art form alive. Here now is Jim Henry's rendition of barbershop arrangement of Cheer Up Charlie from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Away.
to the beautiful island of New Zealand, where the indigenous Maori traditions have continued to be a vital part of New Zealand culture. The haka in particular is known around the world. However, it is part of a larger musical tradition, the kapa haka, which literally translates to group dance. It involves choral singing, dance, and movements associated with hand-to-hand combat as practiced by pre-colonial Maori warriors. The opening song to kapa haka is usually a welcome, and the words of the song we're going to sing translate to, I have heard the voice of welcome greeting, welcoming me as part of the wider world. Rise up, welcome, welcome. Here's Kurongo Mai Koe, a New Zealand welcome song.
Tango time!
Thank you. So, if your students didn't already tell you, or if you didn't see the plaques that were out front, that set that we just did was actually what we took to contest a couple of weeks ago. At least the first one and the third one. We skipped the second one for the contest. But they managed to get themselves a gold rating, which I'm sure you Now, as they are switching this equipment around, we've got some awards that we do ourselves at our school as well, and we are going to do those right now before we move to the last vocal ensemble tune. So if you give me just a moment, I gotta go get my box of stuff. Okay. So, we have 3 music department awards we do every year. However, this year, we had more than 3 students that really deserved something, but I do only have the 3 awards. So, I want to call 2 up that aren't getting the awards, but I wanted to get them something because, frankly, both of them have been just rock stars for the department since they were freshmen. They've been in ensembles every year. In fact, one of them is in almost every ensemble he can get in. And so I got them a couple of little Christmas tree ornaments of their instruments so they can remember the music department as they go forward in their lives. Morgan and Ariel, can you guys come on? So first up, we have the National Choir Directors Awards. These 3 awards, as I say every year, these are national awards. They're done at pretty much every high school. If there's a famous musician that you like, most likely when they were in high school, they won one of these awards. They're done all over the country. There's supposedly a national registry somewhere of everybody who's won them, although I've never seen it. But I believe that it exists. These are things you can put on a resume, take it with you. They will probably, when the recipients run into other high-level music people, as I'm sure they all will, they probably won these awards too at their high school. So we're going to start with the National Choral Directors Award. This one, I'm sure is going to be absolutely no surprise to anyone that knows her. She's been a TA, she helped practically half direct our musical, she was in the ACDA National Choir this year, she's been in All-State multiple years in a row. I mean, you just heard her sing an amazing solo. No surprise, the Choral Directors Award goes to Miki Kadir. Next up, this is the, Next up, we have the Louis Armstrong Jazz Award. This is for somebody who's done a particularly good job in jazz band, and we've got a member who's been in it for all 4 years, has done everything the jazz band's asked of her, and in fact even switched instruments this year when we didn't have anybody to play bass. Again, I'm sure it's probably not a surprise to most. The Jazz Award this year is going to Maya Penishir. And last but not least, the John Philip Sousa Award. This is traditionally a band award. We don't really have a band here, so it's kind of an instrumental award for us. And over the past couple of years, it's generally gone to somebody who's just been in everything. Which, incidentally, this is also the award that I won when I was in high school, so it's kind of my favorite. Although, I didn't just say that, pretend I didn't say that. They're all great. So this award, the John Philip Sousa Award this year, is going to somebody who, again, has done everything, is killing it in the drum line, just picks up everything he does, just lightning quick. He's fantastic. He's one of my go-to kids. Anything I ask him to do, he does it. He is one of the most tremendous boons to this department that I could ask for. It's going to be hard to see him go, but I'm sure he's going to do great things wherever he ends up. Owen Hewitt. So all 3 of those are going to have their names added to the plaques outside the main office over on the Great Path Academy side, and they've got their little desk trophies to take home. We've got 2 more things for you. We've got 1 more tune for the jazz ensemble that I'm going to let somebody else introduce, and then the advanced drumline. So before we sing this last tune, if I could call up Mr. Freya. For those that don't know, we had a student teacher with us this spring, which is awesome. Mr. Freya.
Well, I just want to, first of all, thank Great Path Academy for having me here during this, these past few months for my student teaching. It was a privilege and honor to get to know these kids. I've just seen so much talent here. And Mr. Wolf, my cooperating teacher from the music department, I had the pleasure to work with these past few months. And I also want to thank Ms. Whitney Thura as well, who also was able to be my friend as well. And I just want to say that this next piece, as you heard before, we did a samba piece from Brazil. And Owen, I'm sort of Brazilian. I'm not that much Brazilian. otherwise my wife that's sitting right there, she's going to roast me saying, "You were born in America, you're not really." So anyway, but this next tune that we're about to do is Girl from Ipanema. And it's a very well-known piece, originally written in Brazil. And it's also been translated into English as well. And some of you probably might know who sang it as well. One of them being Frank Sinatra did a rendition of this song as well. And this was an inspiration from a woman who was a resident from Ipanema in Brazil. And when the musicians were writing the song, they just saw her walk by and instantly got the inspiration. So basically, this song talks about the beauty of that woman from this place in Brazil, and this is one of the crown jewels of music from my family's homeland, so I hope you enjoy it this evening.
All right, so our last piece that we have to do for you is the advanced drum line. It's a very complicated show. It's going to take us a few minutes to set up for it, so we can bring the house lights up for just a minute. You can take just a few. It's going to take us a minute to move stuff around. Thank you. All right, so while we're doing our last little bit of setup, as you can see, there's a lot of equipment on stage. What we are doing is we're starting in kind of a new direction with what the percussion ensemble does here. For those of you that are unaware of it, there is a whole field of performance called winter percussion. It started when there were drum corps percussionists that played with DCI drum corps in the summer and with their high school marching bands in the fall, and then the winter came and there was really nothing for them to do. So what they did is they formed their own competitive units. They're all percussion, and they go and they do full marching shows and they compete against each other, and it's a whole thing. If you go online and look up WGI percussion, it stands for Winter Guard International, but like, I mean, it's some of the most incredible percussion performances you'll ever see. I mean, these are literally world-class players that compete with these ensembles. Now, it also gets done at the high school level, and I would like to build this program towards maybe doing some of those competitions. But we've literally never marched here before. We don't have a bunch of the instruments yet, so we're just getting started. But the first step is to do some kind of full marching show. So what you're about to see is more in line with a WGI show. It's 10 minutes, it's non-stop. There are 3 different movements, as you can see. The theme of the show is called War Never Changes. It's based on the music from a video game called Fallout 4. Those of you that came to Cabaret Night saw some of the stuff from this. We've been kind of building this piece by piece over the course of the year. As you're about to see, I'm sorry, hold on. Can't even think. As you're about to see, it's a very complicated show. There's a lot of stuff going on stage, and it took us a long time to put together. We did it today for the school. They loved it. It was a great time. We had a blast with it. We did it at the competition a couple of weeks ago. They got a platinum for this. And this is their 3rd and final performance of this thing that they've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours getting ready for. So you will hear some backtrack. They play this along with a karaoke track. There's some narration. It's pretty cool. We thoroughly hope you enjoy War Never Changes. Thank you.
War never changes. In the year 1944, my great-great-grandfather charged up a ravaged beach and wondered if he would ever get to see his family again. When the United States harnessed the power of the atom, they dropped 2 bombs that ended the war, and he got to go home. For over 100 years, the world saw unprecedented peace, as instead of using the atom as a weapon, we used it to power miracles no one could have imagined. But in the year 2077, that peace broke. As we hovered on the edge of nuclear annihilation, I stood on a beach and wondered the same thing my great-great-grandfather did. War never changes. I wasn't the only one that survived, though. As a scientist said in a movie long ago, life finds a way. People still find each other to form communities. They grow food and read newspapers. They start families. And the most unexpected part for a soldier like me, they still listen to music. Music from the 1940s. Powerful factions have grown in the past 100 years. There's the scrappy freedom fighters that try to defend innocent people. They named themselves after another group of revolutionaries from our history, the Minutemen. From laboratories deep underground, high-tech robot killing machines roam the wasteland in the name of the Institute. And from soaring airships, merciless soldiers descend to wipe out anyone that doesn't agree with their strict beliefs, the Brotherhood of Steel. Their wars rage, and war never changes.
It's a little hot carrying those drums around. Thank you all so much for coming. If it's still raining out, have a safe drive home, and hopefully we'll see you all again next year. Thank you.